Alrighty, so I got off a flight at 6 a.m., had to take a little nap, but now it's time for me to review the Denver and Liverpool sectors, two major tournaments that happened over the weekend. I was at the Denver one, so I'll also be recapping my run there. Before we get going, please hit that subscribe button, and if you're interested in some more content from me, do check out my Patreon as well. Alright, so this is what the breakdown's going to look like. First off, team shout out. So 7 of us traveled to Denver. Myself, Mike, Bobby Sapphire, as you may know him, and Stevie Getz. The 3 of us were able to make day 2 at the Denver sector. So big shout out there. Stevie also made the top cut. So that's real awesome. We're going to take out a look at the spicy deck he played. Also big shout out to John, Alex, CJ, and Justin, who were there as well. Helped a ton with the testing, and Maddie, who was shouting us out from the East Coast. Yeah, it was just an awesome time. Met a lot of people too, members of the community, people who knew us, knew me, knew no one, didn't matter. It was really nice. Just had a great time interacting with people in Denver, and it was a lot of fun. So next up, we're gonna cover both the Denver and Liverpool sectors. I'll start with Liverpool. Not going to do like a mega deep dive into everything, but we will look at a few deck lists, check out the top 8s, look at some like matchup percentages and stuff like that. Then I will recap my individual run in Denver. We'll look at the deck I played, and finally we'll wrap up with what's next conversation about what we should be doing leading up into some future events. So hope you enjoy it. Let's get over to SW Competitive Hub to check out the results. All right, so here we are at SW Competitive Hub. Gonna open up the tournament results tab and check out the sector qualifier in Liverpool. This had 418 players, and this was the top 8. It was Bosk Blue taking it all down. Jango Tarkentown falling in the finals. There was another Jango in the top 4, as well as an Anakin Colossus. And then wrapping it up, we had a Quinlan, a Gar, a Han Blue, and another Jango. So we can also look, before I take a look at the deck list, there is a nice little chart here. So Jango was 76 players, which is sub 20% of the starting field. It converted to day 2, though, at a close to a 33% of that field. So it actually overperformed by quite a large margin. So I know when you look at a chart like this, only 76, it's sub 20% of the field. That's not too bad. And in a way, maybe it isn't. But when that deck that is the highest played deck also way overperforms its expected conversion rate, right? Technically, a deck should convert at about the rate that it's played. So the deck is 20% of the field. It should convert about 20% of the day 2 slots. But this deck is kind of way overperforming. And what that indicates to me is that it's just way underplayed. Like, most people should just be playing Jango. It's not even close, in my opinion. I didn't play Jango. I was probably wrong. But anyway, when it's doing that well, and we'll look at Denver too, it actually was even a bigger gap. It was similar, like a 20% or a little less than 20% of the starting field, and it converted to 44% or something like that of the day 2 field. That's huge, right? I don't know conversion rates for Boba, but I know Boba in its heyday was played at a much larger clip than 20% of the field, and its conversion rates were also very high. But this one's almost doubling its expected conversions, which is a ton. And after that, we see the usual suspects. We see Quinlan, we see Piet. I'm actually kind of surprised to see Boba, the villain Boba Pilot, at the 4th highest represented deck. The deck has been underperforming basically every event it's been to by quite a large margin. Then we have like Palpatine, Sabine, Cad Bane, Han, some Lukes, and it trickles down from there. So that is kind of the starting field. Now, starting field to me is like going to be way less important than day 2, just because, like a lot of it is going to get filtered out. If you look at, there's a really handy little chart here, and you might not be able to see it that clearly right now, but I do recommend you check out this feature in SW Competitive Hub, you can actually see like matchup breakdown. So like Jango Red here, like what it had a 53% win rate against Quinlan, almost 60% against Boba, 63% against Sabine, 70% against Palp, 66% against Piet. Had an actual negative win rate against Gar, which, you know, I kind of expect. Gar is one of the few decks that can like kind of avoid most of Jango's interactions because of all its shields. Jango crushed Luke at a 70%. Had a sub 50 against Han, which, you know, most people wouldn't expect that. But like you go down like Cad, 83% against Cad, 61% against Obi-Wan, or it's beating Piet, it's beating almost everything. So it does have some negative rates here, and especially into this Bosk Blue, 31%, or the Cad Blue, like these like blue based like big health control decks. And Bosk Blue did take it down in the final, so that's notable to remember. All right, so let's take a look at some of these lists. So this is the Bosk Blue. Again, like you can take a look at this more clearly, but I'll kind of, this is very reminiscent of like the set 3 version. This is like a mono removal deck. It's only got 11 units in it. It's got Palpatine, Snokes, and Clients, and then 2 Avengers. Everything else is just removal. It's got a restock in it for the mirrors, removal and card draw, and that's it. Like this is just trying to install, play Super Laser Blast, finish off with one of its units, potentially in some other matchups, be able to Vigilance, defeat your opponent's deck, and prevent yourself from getting that done to you with restocks. And this is almost identical to what the decks were in the previous set. I'm trying to look here at like maybe the only card from set 4. No, there's a couple. There's Shoot Down, and there's No Glory Only Results, which is just a much better version of Vanquish because it like blows up the Ruthless Raider and you get the trigger. But yeah, it's a hard control deck meant to target Jango. I believe this deck did target Jango pretty well. Notably, this player lost round 1 and then submarined all the way to a win, which is pretty impressive. Starting off 0-1 and then just rattling off a ton of wins in a row. So, congrats to this Bosk Blue player, Ali G. You know, good run. I'm gonna take a look at one of the Jangos here. Just, you know, this one actually has like some different stuff in it. There's Count Dooku in this deck, which I've never seen in a Jango deck before. A lot of the 1-drops, but you know the core is the core, and we know how powerful that core is, right? The War Juggernauts, the Ruthless Raiders, the Devastators, TDR, Sneak Attack. So that is the top placing Jango. We're gonna take a look at the Anakin as well. This is Anakin Colossus, so you know you're down a card, you got a lot more health. I think that can sometimes definitely feel clunky. Now this player definitely put card draw. This is Yahosera, put card draw into this deck, right? Not only you have like Yoda to draw cards, you got C-3PO in there to potentially hit off cards, but Stila Guerrera is a very interesting choice because that guarantees at least 2 cards if you want to take the 4 damage. So ways to kind of refill your hand that way. Made it to the top 4 with this deck, and yeah. All right, I want to take a look at the Han Blue as well because that's pretty unique. I'm trying to take a look. We got like Redemption in here, Concord Dawn, so and Village Protector. So it is more of like a stalling version of Han. It's not going to be as tech as DJ heavy. I mean, it's in there. Tech and DJ are in this deck. It can still happen. It's not going to happen as consistently as it does in something like a mono yellow Han deck, but you got your Jedi lightsabers in this deck. Suit up Han or suit up some of these Force units. There's Grogu. Grogu wielding a lightsaber can be pretty awesome, but this looks more of like a controlling Han deck than we're typically used to seeing with like mono yellow or green. Whether this is just like a flash in a pan or whether this can kind of take off, we'll have to wait and see. Han is just such a powerful leader that it can carry builds in most colors. It's actually very reminiscent in that sense of Boba. I think like basically every version of Han can be good. Some are definitely better, but yeah. So that's really the recap I'm gonna do here. The Jangos, the Quinlan, Gar, these are pretty established builds. I recommend you take a look at some of these lists on your own as well. I'm not going to focus too much time on all the deck lists right now. because I do expect, and maybe this is a bit of a early time to mention it, but I do think we're going to see some changes come Wednesday with FFG's announcement, and the current deck list might not be the end all be all anymore. But yeah, let's check out Denver now as well. This is the event I was at. You're not going to see me here in this top 8. We'll talk about that when we recap my run. I'm going to start with my teammate Stevie Getz, who finished in 7th place with a Luke Data Vault deck. Big shout out again. This is an awesome performance. He went 9-2 in the Swiss. Did lose to the eventual winner of this entire sector, but this is the 3-time special. There's only 3 cards in this deck that are not 3 copies, and it's just blue, green, hero, good stuff. Tons of sentinels. I think Fleet Lieutenant was like just performed like a monster a lot of the time. It caught some people off guard, but it also changed math in a lot of situations. It gave Luke a little bit of extra reach, which he's often struggling with. Like trade downs are often a thing that Luke has to do, but Fleet Lieutenant helps a lot in that situation. We know the Sentinels. We know we've got all this top end. We just need to get there. We have the healing, like with Redemption and Home One giving our units healing, some incidental healing with things like Kanan. So we're trying to make it up there. And Covering the Wing is a fantastic card and very good on cards like Concord Dawn and Bright Hope and Village Protectors, just to like stall as much as possible. We wrap up with just a bunch of copies of various removals like Fell, Takedown, Rivals Fall, Perilous Position, and just try to get there. We have like the top end to compete with basically any deck between the Lukes and the big ships. So this was a great run, and he gets a copy of the Luke Skywalker Showcase because he was the highest finishing Luke, and that is really awesome. We'll take a look at the winner, and this was a Jango 30, not a Jango Tarkin Town this time, but what I see here is just more removal than you see in the Tarkin Town versions. We have Force Chokes and Open Fires in this deck. You have No Good to Me. It's just a bit bulkier in the removal area. The core of the units mostly the same with Devastator, Ruthless Raider, War Juggernaut, that stuff. It's not no 1-drops in this deck. It's not trying to do like a Zerg out strategy, but it's just trying to be bigger. This is almost like a Jango control deck, especially post-board, where this player brought in 2 CADs and 2 Emperor Palpatines and just bulked up the entire top end. And he played very well. I caught it on stream a bit. It's Daniel. And yeah, this great run, seeing a new take it's a bit of a new take on a very established archetype. So let's take a look at the mono yellow as well. The mono yellow Han, so he finished in 4th place, and it's also a bit different than like your typical mono yellow builds. This is more of a space focused version. So you see that you have 6 Falcons now, and we got some wing leaders in here to try to beef up some of our early plays. Wing leader works really well with C-3PO and things like Bodhi. And then you also have pilots. We have Boshek in here. We have the new pilot Han, the new pilot Mandalorian. So that all works with the additional space units, especially like the new Falcon, which gets really beefed up with pilots. And this looks to me even more aggressive than like a typical Han Yellow deck that was more ground focused. And so really cool to see like some pilots show up and some new cards from set 4 in this deck, which for the most part in most lists I've seen has used very little set 4 tech. All right, so those are the 2 lists, the 3 lists I wanted to highlight. The other in this top cut is 4 Jangos. It was a Quinlan, actually it's 5 Jangos, sorry, a Quinlan, a Han, and the Luke. And we'll take a look a bit at the breakdown. Now I don't have the actual percentages of like the play, but like I mentioned earlier, I saw somewhere that it was about a bit less than 20% of the field started with Jango. It was 44% of day 2, and then 5 of 8 in the top cut, which is over 50%. So yeah, Jango once again overperforming expectations based on how many people showed up with it. And once again, it has almost positive matchups against everything. You see a couple negative ones here. Vader blue. So we saw it was losing to Cad Blue and Bosk Blue in Liverpool. Here's another version of probably a very similar style deck that's also beating Jango. All those decks, though, I will say, have really awful matchups against Mono Yellow Han, like awful. But Mono Yellow Han seems to not be getting played that much right now. And if you're just gonna dodge them as these control decks, there's more merit to it for sure. But those, yeah, like you're really picking to target this Jango, and you're saying I'm okay losing to basically any Han I play with those decks. In my experience, that's basically been how it's played out. Jango also had a pretty negative win rate against Sabine Yellow, which I know some proponents of Sabine Yellow do think it has a positive matchup, and it does play out like that here. You see it had a 38% win rate against Sabine Yellow, and it was an even win rate into Sabine Green. So Sabine, maybe not a terrible choice, either version of them, if they can be teched to beat these Jangos. But yeah, like for the most part, everything else was at worst like a 45%, but like you also see just positive win rates throughout the spread here for Jango. All right, so next up, let's talk about my run. All right, so my run, I went 9-2 with Quinlan Tarkentown. I started the day 7-2, actually lost my first round to Han Green, someone I know, Pasquale, who's in New York, and he got extremely lucky to win. I'm just kidding. But yes, 7-2 day 1. I was 3-2, and then I rattled off 4 straight wins to make day 2, and then I swept day 2 2-0. Unfortunately, that ended my run. I finished in 12th place. I missed on tiebreakers, so there were, I think, 3 or 4 others at a 9-2 record that didn't make the top cut, the top 8, but I missed. I'm pretty bummed about that, to be honest, because I wanted the extra round. 12 rounds would have made it a much cleaner cut that all the X2s, I believe, would have made it in at that point, but because the tournament only had 11, 4 of the 9-2s did end up missing, and I was one of them. But I'm still like pretty happy about a 9-2 run. Like I will sign up to take an X2 at any of these sectors any day of the week. That's typically going to get you into the top 8, and I was very happy about how the deck performed. I rattled off 6 straight wins after I started 3-2 against meta decks. I beat 2 Jangos at that point. I'd lost to one earlier. I beat a Mirror. I beat a Mono Yellow Han. I beat a Luke, and I beat a one other deck, which will come to me in a moment. But yes, it was really fun to play this Quinlan deck. You're gonna see it on the screen right now. I've been updating this deck. I've made a video about this deck that you should check out. It's not the exact list that I made in the video, but I've been updating this deck routinely on my Patreon, and I updated all the way to the day before the tournament, so anyone who had been on my Patreon would have seen exactly this 60 cards. And I think I made a few changes here that are not generally very typical of Quinlan's, and that was removing the sparks from the main deck. That definitely weakens the overall discard package. It's just forced throw in Ahsoka now. But I've noticed in testing and playing and like grinding, especially the day before, that sparks, especially against Jango, but also against like decks like Sabine or even Mono Yellow Han, they're not a card you really want to play. Like there's situations where it sometimes comes up and it's okay, but you lose so much tempo in those matchups, and it was just a card that was just getting resourced all the time. And I felt like, this reads to me like a sideboard card at this point. There's some matchups. I brought it in 3 times out of the 9 rounds. I brought it in against an Anakin Colossus. I brought it in against the Han Green. I think it's much better into Han Green than it is against Mono Yellow Han, because they're trying to like spike pilots and stuff like that against you. And then I brought it in against the Luke the Luke Data Vault deck that I played against. But all the other matchups, the 3 times I played Jango, the Mono Yellow Han that I played, a Gar Saxon that I played, I was not bringing it in. And the Gar Saxon, that's the other deck I think that I didn't mention that I had played against. But yes, other than that, I also went mono 3/5s in this deck. So every unit on my turn 2, or my 3-cost units, other than Millennium Falcon, of course, was just a 3/5. 2 DJs, 2 Liberated Slaves. I just split them in case of cards like Kira or something naming, if I had like 2 of them in my hand, they couldn't name both or something. And yeah, just the text on the cards was largely irrelevant, although liberated slaves does get hit by electromagnetic pulse, which is sort of a bummer when everyone's playing that card main deck. But we got sturdy 3-cost units. We got all the shielded units, the 2/2s on the turn 1 plays. They are my favorite turn 1 play in this deck. I've been playing 3 crafties, 3 elites since the last set in Quinlan. I just want my units to stick, and that's why. It's just shielded units into 3/5s, into 3/5s again with the 4-cost units, so that we get our really powerful Plo play. And then Poe was also very good in this deck, especially against Jango, just kind of putting your opponent in this check situation where they're trying to play around Plo. You slam a Poe, they either need to claim early, or you can one-shot their Jango, or sometimes you just like blast or surprise stick the Poe, hit them for 11. Or 10, and then all of a sudden they're like 1 action away from dying if they let you ever attack with Poe again. And I put the 3 Hans in the deck, and I see these getting trimmed to 0 sometimes, or 2, but I felt like I just had enough for the Jango, and I wanted Mir and Han. I just wanted to be a little better in the Mir and against Han in the main deck. And Han is like the Mirror Breaker and the Han Breaker. Like, the person who out-Hans the other player will often be the winner in those matchups. He's also good into like random other mid-range decks, like when I played against Luke in round 10, actually, Han was absolutely like the backbreaker in that matchup for me. And yeah, so like, I like it. I understand maybe trimming it a little bit, but this deck played very well. In the sideboard, I had like more Sabine tech with like Bamboozles and Shadowed Hover Tank, an extra EMP, the Sparks like I mentioned, and the red 5s, which are really, really good against Han decks, but also some other like mid-rangey or slower decks, especially decks that aren't playing Tarkin Town. That's like the main reason I just don't want 4 health units in my main deck. There's no Ezra anymore. There's no red 5 in the main deck. It's just Tarkin Town is everywhere. And I don't want my turn 2 play to ever be in a position where like, oh, it's the only one I have and I have to play it, and now they kill it for free and I basically lose the game. So 3 5s in the main deck. If we see a change in the frequency of Tarkin Town decks getting played, maybe we can play some 3 4s again. But for now, I would recommend just going all out with the X5s. But yeah, this was the deck. I'm happy about my run. Disappointed a bit. Can't lie about that I wasn't able to get into the top 8 with the 9-2 record, but we'll try next time and see what we can come up with. All right, what's next? So, are we getting suspensions? There's going to be an announcement on Wednesday. FFG has a stream about like a meta check-in. So that was a newly scheduled topic. So it's certainly going to cover Jango. Like, I have no doubt that it will be mentioning Jango. Do I think we will get a suspension? I do. Personally, right now, I would predict yes. I think Jango is way overperforming. It's suffocating a lot of decks, and it's just too good. And you can see it by the conversion rates. You can see it by its top 8 conversion rates. You can see it by its win rates. It's won 2 of the 3 tournaments. It was in the final in the other one. It is a little troubling how well it's doing. A lot of its mechanics invalidate a lot of decks. And in Triple Dark Raid is like another big culprit. I think the card is just way too good as a whole. And I mentioned this in the previous video, but what I would like to see is a Jango Triple Dark Raid and Han Solo suspension. I think we will open up a lot of this game if all of those are gone. I mean, right now, Han is not performing at suspension level power, right? It's kind of absent in a lot of cases. It's like sneaking one into top 8s. I did win the Atlanta 6K. It's clearly still very good, but it is definitely taking the back seat here. But I promise that if Jango goes away and Han is untouched, we are just back where we were in set 3 with Han dominating basically every event. And I'd rather skip that stage. I'd rather just do them both, because we're going to do one and then Han will just crush and then we'll have to do him later. So I just want them all gone. I think we'll open up so much leader gameplay, especially if Han's gone. I actually think the Han and the DJ stuff is what caps leaders much more than Jango in a way, because basically you look at 6+ cost leaders and they're almost absent in all of these events, and that's a lot to do with Han. It definitely has stuff to do with Jango, with how efficient and quick it is. But yeah, that Han and the DJ interaction in particular, I think if you wanted a lighter approach and you wanted to keep Han around, maybe DJ is the suspension. Certainly wouldn't mind that. I just think the leader is just a little overtuned right now, especially because Smuggle is such a good mechanic with him. It's made his ability basically free at this point. It used to be punishing in set 1, where you would resource to a low hand size, and then you had to live off the top of your deck, or you got hit hard by discard effects, and such is life. It was the risk. That was part of the payment. But now, like, there's no risk. Like, you have like 20 Smuggle cards. I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating there, but like you're just like playing from your Smuggle row, and you'd never run out of cards, because like sometimes you just play a card from the Smuggle row and then all of a sudden you draw 2 cards and it doesn't matter anymore. You're just free to use this ability a ton. So I think the ability is too good. I think the leader's too good. I would like to see a Jango and Han and a triple Dark Raid suspension. I think triple Dark Raid, regardless of what we do with Jango, needs to go. The card should not be ever allowed to do 13 damage to someone's face for 6 resources and then draw you the card that just did that. That's just an overtuned interaction. There's no fix to that interaction. That will steal games no matter what leader you're playing. Jango, Von Reg, Boba, whatever it is, Piet. Like, you can see Devastators, 10-cost Devastators coming out on turn 3 in Piet decks. This is just not a balanced card, and it's got to go, I think. But yeah, we're going to hear on Wednesday. I think for the next couple of days, I'm probably going to just relax a little bit, because the format might change completely after Wednesday. If after Wednesday we get no suspensions, then the format won't change, and we'll have to live in this Jango world and figure out, are we joining Jango? Are we maybe going to look at these blue control decks like the CAD, the Vader, the Boss, just to like hard target this? Does that make Han's play rate go up again if more people are playing those decks, because they're basically free matchups for Han? Who knows? It's very polarized, but for now, let's just wait a couple days, see what the announcement is, and then we can revisit and decide how we want to target either current meta or the new meta that will exist with suspensions. All right, let me know what you think. I had a lot of fun. Big shout out to the team for showing up, for playing, for rooting from the sidelines. Big shout out to everyone I met. I had a lot of people come up to me during the day. It was very nice, very heartwarming to hear all the positive words people had to say to me. It truly meant a lot. Thanks again, and until next time, take care.